again, and welcome back to the composition blog. It's been about 3 weeks since I last filmed, and that sound that you're hearing now has been the sound I've mostly been making and listening to over the course of that time. I've been doing a lot of writing for my PhD, which has entailed going back over a number of old pieces, but also coming up with some ideas for pieces I might write in the future, which has been really nice that it's been both backwards and forward looking and applying to composition. There's been a lot going on. The Bastard Assignments album is out, so we've been promoting that, and I'll put a link to that below. We're very excited about it, obviously. It's been a year since we recorded it, nearly, so it's nice to have it finally out on Spotify and Bandcamp and Apple Music and Amazon and, yeah, everywhere, basically. I had my first viola lesson in nearly 30 years with the wonderful Stephen Upshaw, and we spent an hour trying to sort out some problems I've been having. I sort of got myself into a bit of an RSI situation with both arms while preparing for the City Lit gig, which has never happened to me before. And yeah, so we spent an hour sort of sorting out what I'm doing wrong and sort of how to play without pain and get a better sound. So that was really great. I'm really looking forward to the next one. I've started to do some actual concrete work on the Quiet Songs score. I know I've been talking about this for months, and I've had this thing in my head that I haven't actually written down, and I'm the sort of person that if I don't write things down, they just go round and round and round like a hamster in a wheel, and it never actually turns into anything else. So I've written this down, and it was useful for seeing sort of how much needs to actually fit into that score space and what is really useful. How am I going to deal with certain notational considerations? Am I that hung up on things being completely accurate? Or is it more a case of this gap, this sound, make it fit? Yeah, and then how do I notate that? Yeah, so at the moment I've been thinking about stills from the video, whether they actually contribute anything in this circumstance. It might be a bit vague. I'm going to have to put timings in anyway. And maybe they don't really help. How do I convey the audio cues clearly? Yeah, things like that. I'm quite happy with it's kind of a tablature approach to the actual viola part. So the 4 lines there actually represent the 4 strings of the viola, with the pitches as they should be and what they are detuned to, because there's hardly any left-hand work at all, and what there is tends to be quite vague. It's more a style of playing than actually make this note, so it doesn't really need a full stave. Yeah, so that's underway, and yeah, I hope there'll be more of that soon. I've been feeling stuck again on the Britten, you'll be amazed to hear. As last time I mentioned that I'd sent Amy an email asking her to try out some tone colour effects, which largely derive from Quiet Songs. She's been just hugely busy and hasn't got around to it till today, and I've just been completely illogically feeling like I couldn't proceed until I heard those, which makes no sense at all. None whatsoever. Yeah. And finally I made myself realise this, and I pulled out the second movement and started tinkering with the notation of that and started thinking again about how to elongate that central section. So I've sent that off to her. We've started discussing sort of notational detail, especially for the opening strumming section, where I think there's a different way to interpret it, whether it's sort of each bit is like all 5 notes together, or is it actually just one note that's the same length of 5 notes? So yeah, it's just little details. The other exciting thing for the Britten is it's kind of got itself a title. Although I think the fact that I'm still calling it the Britten Variations, and I didn't lead with that fact, shows how uncommitted I am to it. It hasn't really stuck. But I've been thinking a lot about what this piece is and what it's trying to be and where it's going, and I think that the one thing that has been consistent since I was in Australia is the idea of actions that create the score. And so at the moment it's called cut, paste, erase. But yeah, that might well change because, like I say, it hasn't stuck yet. I recently also went through pretty much all the materials I've accumulated for the Britten. Kind of by accident, I ended up in a situation where I only had 13 gig of hard drive space and consequently could do absolutely nothing with my computer. But thanks to Bath Spa University's giving of unlimited Google Drive space to their students, I have managed to clear 350 gigabytes of Britten Variations and Quiet Songs material up into the cloud and off my hard drive, and now the computer works. It's great. But in doing so I ended up sort of re-listening, re-watching almost all the material that's been created for Britten Variations. And that was really good actually, to feel a bit more connected with where that's come from. Yeah, and the things that I'd not forgotten about but just put to one side, like the tape part, and I'm wondering if progress will be easier on the rest of it if I go back to the tape part and keep working on that a bit more, because I haven't touched that in weeks and weeks and weeks. Last time I mentioned that I was going to be meeting up with Jenni Hogan about a new project, and we had a great meeting last week. We spent 3 hours chatting about stuff at Tape Modern, always very easy to do with her, and yeah, we have a nice new project which is, at the moment it's going to be a collection of miniatures, which will allow us to explore a bunch of different approaches, but we're kind of reserving the idea that the final piece may be, you know, a few of these kind of jigsawed together into one piece, or it may be that one section actually proves to have much more value than the rest of them, in which case we'll extend that into a bigger piece. It already has a title. I'm calling it Impedimenta. This relates to Jenni's interest in movement, and particularly constrained movement. And where we're starting with this is we've got a workshop booked in December where we're going to suspend things from her stunt flute, which is going to be a whole lot of fun. I think we're going to have a marvellous time. So I now need to come up with a bunch of things to suspend and materials for suspending. Yeah, and think about sort of the different ways we might connect stuff. But that's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll be able to report on that in December. Anyway, that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you've got any comments or questions, please leave them below, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks. Bye.